One of the challenges of working in HR and in an organisation, yes, you'd have your cool projects because you're always doing continuous improvement. Yeah. But when you're part of a bigger machine like that, and you've gone from owning HR to being a small player in a big global HR team, and it's basically shut up and do what you're told. Yeah. That's not how I like to operate, because I like to, I want that control over it. I want that freedom, I want the creativity and that ability to sit down with my client, get to know them, understand their needs and understand their business and design something for them, rather than what happens the other way around when you're in a big corporate like that, and especially when you get by a global. It's here's the systems and processes, go and implement them, go and make them fit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ways to Wealth. Today I'm joined by Stephanie. Stephanie, why don't you give us the TLDR on who you are and what you get up to on a day-to-day basis?
Okay. I'm Stephanie I'm the director of Epic People. I'm an HR and leadership training consultancy. I've been around in the HR bizzo for about 30 years, maybe 25 years of that in New Zealand at senior level. And I love what I do, and I have a real passion for leadership development, taking abstract concepts and turning them into like real, tangible, everyday behaviours. So I stay away from that really senior level executive leadership development, and I really focus on that middle management as well. All of these people that are promoted into leadership with great technical skills, but lacking in the soft skills. So yeah, that's my kind of like my sweet spot. Okay, so
that's interesting. I had a conversation with someone talking about basically taking managers to leaders. Is that like the space that you're working on? Is someone that's like you said, an engineer or technically good? But then also there's like being technically capable, being good at management and actually organisation. And then there's leadership, which are like three different things.
They are. And, I guess I've seen so often, and, I've had this in jobs, somebody will be promoted into a leadership role through company growth and things like that. And they'll walk into my office and they just say, what do I do now? And that was a real aha moment for me, because it really showed me that these people are often left to wing it. They're not set up for success, and so it's really taking these basic everyday things, and it's how to be a manager, and then moving into, as you say, how to be a leader, which, managing, of course, is, allocation of work and tasks and things, and then there's actually empowering your team and coaching and building high-performing teams and things like that, which is less about the doing and more about the relationships, in your team and then across with other teams as well. So that's a big area of focus for me as well, is that relationship building, which is why I'm so into social intelligence.
Right, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what got you to start your own business?
A little bit of disillusionment with in-house HR. My last job was fantastic, and I've done a lot of sole charge roles, and they're great because you really roll your hands up and you get into everything. And I had crafted this amazing job where I did lots and lots of leadership stuff, and we were bought by a global company, publicly listed on the Paris Stock Exchange company. And my job went from being creative and doing things for this business, really serving them, to serving this enormous global and having to really toe the line on all of their policies and procedures, which are great, but when you don't get to design them anymore or have any say in how they're implemented, then the joy can go out of the job, and when you lose that creativity. And I always wanted to work for myself, and I want to work for businesses that say, we need you. rather than having HR there because it's a function that they actually have to have.
Okay.
So when you're working for a client, we need you, we need some results, and you get in there, you learn about them, you get to know them, you learn about their business, and you help them through the situations. And sometimes it's a long-term relationship, other times it's, okay, we're done, see you later. And, you don't have to get bogged down in all the office politics and all that sort of stuff as well. So I guess I kind of I like being the master of my own domain as well. So having a lot more flexibility and a lot more freedom to work one-on-one, especially with chief executives or operations managers on solving the issues in their teams.
Okay. And how long have you been running the business, and how did it get going? Like, how did you when
it's still getting going. It's still getting going. I left this role last year, sort of about 10 months ago, and I've really started from a standing position. I've had to build out my products. I've had to build out, I've got about 12 training courses. Excuse me. I've had to build them out completely. I decided on a rebrand. I changed my company name. I've built a whole new website. Doing that on your own is tough. I had to save enough money to support myself. Fun fact, I also do anti-money laundering compliance for finance companies, so that's helped me sort of stay afloat.
So you do a bit of that as like a contractor?
Yeah.
Really
so I do AML compliance for several finance companies, just small ones. And so I'm still dabbling in social media and things. Actually, TikTok's been a really good source of leads for me. I've actually got several clients have come to me because they've seen me on TikTok.
Right, and you're creating content on TikTok?
Yeah, just doing videos about employment law, videos about leadership. I'm doing a few on recruitment because it's recruitment season at the moment. So little short videos on, giving advice and tips and things.
Cool.
It resonates really well. I've got like 3,700 followers on TikTok.
Nice.
39 on Instagram.
Yeah.
3 on Facebook, one of which is me.
Yeah.
So
it's funny when you get traction on like one platform.
Yeah.
Like LinkedIn's real good for me. I'm finding that LinkedIn's really great for what we're doing. We have got TikTok as well. I often find that like I'm creating an enormous amount of content, but me mainly, I'm the bottleneck. We don't actually release it or like distribute it effectively. I found, and I'm like, I just almost need someone to like follow me around, like, and just make sure that I'm posting, because I've got all the content and I'm probably gurgitating the content out during the day, but it doesn't get distributed onto the platforms. How do you stay like motivated, and like how do you do it? Do you just turn the camera on and just go?
It was really hard at the beginning. I was really nervous, but I found a really good app to use, and it just gets easier. And the cool thing about TikTok is you don't have to be polished. One of my best performing videos had like 125,000, I wouldn't call them views, it's appearances really. And I was sitting at my kitchen bench, my hair was a mess, no makeup. It's like, shit, it's Sunday night, I've got to post my video. Sat down and recorded it and just posted it. So you kind of get over yourself. I haven't posted videos so much on LinkedIn because I feel like you do need to be a little bit more polished there. So I need to get into a better habit of, doing my either posting them on LinkedIn. I don't know, I feel a little bit more nervous about LinkedIn. I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit more at stake. But I just seem to have been focusing on TikTok. So maybe this year I need to focus a bit more on LinkedIn and building up my presence there.
Yeah, LinkedIn's really been good. Like, I've found it's been great for years. Definitely with what you're doing as well, I think that it would be quite cool. But you get surprised by some of the other platforms like TikTok, where you're like, wow, I'm actually getting a lot of interesting traction and engagement here.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's often right that you should probably double down on what's working.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I like LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's in a good space for kind of building brand. And nowadays, with where everything's kind of going, you kind of, as a brand and a business, and especially even in technology and stuff, you have to be quite opinionated, and you have to have clear frameworks and principles that like you go like, this is how we do it. And like, because delivering technology is getting easier and easier. It's now about like who you are, what are the principles and frameworks that you're like letting people, I guess, live out or execute right through whatever service or product you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So at some point I need to lock myself away for a day, figure out what my LinkedIn strategy is. And I think that's been part of my problem, is that I've never sat down. I do struggle with what to post on there. My posts don't get a lot of traction. It's like, do people out there hate me? Or am I just uninteresting? Or
it's the algorithm as well. The algorithm is different, right?
Yeah.
So you should try YouTube.
I've thought about that.
Because you can go 2 for 1 on that.
Yes, No, I have thought about that, and somebody on LinkedIn did sort of inspire me to do that. But again, you know, you've got to. There's a bit of work up front that you've got to do, and you know, so I'm juggling my time between working for clients, finishing my website, building training content, sales, marketing, content creation, you know, raising invoices, you know, just like every other business owner. The type of people that I actually support is you're wearing so many hats, and of course, you know, that's why I always wanted to do an HR consultancy. In fact, I had this idea like 20 years ago, and I just didn't know how to execute it, because you know, any business owner, and you'll know this yourself, you wear so many hats, right? And there'll be some hats that get neglected. For my clients, it's the HR hat. For me, it's probably, you know, that the social media strategy hat that I'm not wearing very well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in an ideal situation, you're kind of giving as many hats away as you can, right? As works in a way that gives you confidence that you're making the right choices and that you do have the right strategy. So a lot of it does come to framing and like kind of strategy. And then it's like, either I have to give away these hats, or I have to like think about how I'm going to just go, well, today I'm going to make these 3 steps. Well,
what I've started doing is dedicating Friday is marketing day.
Right.
And I write my scripts, I write my articles, I record, I look at my, you know, what am I posting over the next month, and I'll do bulk recording and bulk, you know, work. And so I can just kind of mentally let go of, you know, billable time and all that sort of thing. I can mentally let go of that and allow myself that day to just solely focus on that. And that works for me. It's, you know, one of my top productivity tips is,
so you're like time blocking.
Really? Time blocking and time boxing. And going, no, even though, you know, I've got a quite fast operating brain and things will pop into my head, I tend to be quite disciplined, writing them on their appropriate list and then forgetting about them, because I know that on Friday this is the stuff that I'm going to do, and I can go back to all of those notes and ideas that I had. And maybe some of them by then don't sound like a good idea anymore, or they've evolved, and then I can just focus on those and not guilt myself about should be doing billable time right now.
That's a good way to do it. And I think it's accepting that. It's like my business partner and I were talking over the weekend, and we were having just a chat on FaceTime, and he was talking about that video, I don't know if you've seen it, about how it's a professor in a college asking how heavy the water is. Have you seen that?
No.
It's basically that, you know, for the first 10 seconds it's not like how heavy is this cup.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then obviously the longer you hold on to it,
the heavier it gets.
Yeah,
we do that in stress management training. It's the classic example.
It's silly staying in a state of like basically being like, well, these are all the things I know, therefore I'm going to spend half an hour like bugging myself about it. But we do it every day. And I find that like the time blocking for me works really well. Like, and then it's like, okay, I can put everything to the side for a moment, and I'm going to focus here.
Yeah.
So what was like winning your first client like? How did you go about that? Because it might be quite fresh still.
So, look, it's always like a bit of a moment of an excitement when an unknown number pops up on your phone.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that email comes through from a form on your website. And, you know, it is slowly. Here's the thing. When you work when you're an HR consultancy, people only contact you when they desperately need you. And so it's exciting, it's cool fun, but it's down to business right now, you know. And so, you know, you spend a bit of time building rapport with them, but then they're contacting you because they've got a problem and they need it dealt with now because it's usually been dragging on. So you sort of put aside that excitement and just go straight into to building mode because it's all about them. It's not about you. You don't have to sit there and here's my expertise and this and this. They've already, especially if they're seeing you on TikTok, you've already built up some trust there, and so you can just go straight into execution mode with them. Get something done with them. Build that trust out even further, and then you can build the relationship.
And then they call you later.
Yeah, because you know that's when you start talking about other things, or they have other needs. You know, some of them only need you for one thing. And others will say, I've got so much work for you.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting. I'm like texting people, I got my first client, and somebody contact me because they saw me on TikTok, and cool. You know, and even little things that tell you that your website's working. Like this week, I had, you know, one inquiry about my time management training, but I also had a journalist in Australia contact me. She wanted to interview me for an article that she was doing for an accountant's magazine. So it's like, wow, my marketing is working.
Yeah, that's the great thing about TikTok as well, and other social platforms when it does start to go right, is that it gives you that brand authority and then get really nice earned media.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah. And you know, the last contact that I had from someone last week, the boss said to his PA, seen this woman on TikTok, I really like the way she explains things, I can really relate to her, can you call her for me? So that's really cool. It's really cool. It's reassuring. It means that you're doing the right thing. You feel like you're not guessing anymore as well. So you know, the next stage will hopefully be referrals. So referrals from current clients. Right. That's kind of the next stage, and then hopefully things will really build from there.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess with you kind of starting this business now, and you kind of feel like you're getting a bit of traction and you're kind of finding your voice in TikTok, and that's kind of like, that then just becomes business as usual. A bit like us and what we've been doing with the podcast, I guess. You know, we've been doing it for 18 months, the podcast now. We've got 2 segments, and there could be some more coming, but it's an interesting learning. And then you're like, okay, I really like the idea of what you're talking about around getting into execution mode, and I wonder how, like, from a onboarding and sales perspective, what that looks like in a business like yours, you know, as you go to refine that. And it's more of, I'm not requesting, I guess, a response, because maybe we're still working that out, but I kind of think about that, right? Because it's really interesting when you get into, because it's very different to eccuity. Eccuity is a very long relationship building process through our different content and like tools and offering. But it's not straight to the point, and that's really nice when it's straight to the point, because if you've got some good pathways, then it can just make execution easier, and then it makes you feel like less stressed about, I guess, that billable time component that you were talking about when you're time blocking. So if you keep the TikTok machine is the ultimate referral machine. So you'll see how that kind of starts to compound over time, right?
Hopefully.
But I guess you've started this business, like everyone starts a business with for a reason, right? And you were kind of talking about you wanted a little bit more freedom and that autonomy piece, and after the last, I think what you got was culture shock, right?
I wouldn't call it culture shock because I've worked in global companies before. I've worked in publicly listed. I've worked for in public sector. Public, like Auckland Transport Council. I've worked in, spent a lot of time working in London and in the big banks and things. Right. So it wasn't necessarily culture shock. It was because I've been doing this for such a long time. Dare I say it? I don't like people telling me what to do.
Well, maybe it's
how to do it.
Yeah.
And I like, it was loss. It was, one of the challenges of working in HR in an organisation. Yes, you have your cool projects because you're always like doing continuous improvement.
Yeah.
But when you're part of a bigger machine like that, and you've gone from owning HR to being a small player in a big global HR team, and it's basically shut up and do what you're told. Yeah. That's not how I like to operate, because I like to. I want that control over it. I want that freedom. I want the creativity and that ability to sit down with my client, get to know them, understand their needs and understand their business, and design something for them, rather than what happens the other way around when you're in a big corporate like that, and especially when you get bought by a global. It's here's the systems and processes, go and implement them, go and make them fit. Yeah. And so you can see it's in reverse. So yeah, I've experienced this before. I've worked in a globals before.
But you decided that this was,
but this was different. This was a lot that my autonomy was taken away. My creativity was taken away. All those leadership programs that you've designed and delivered. No, you're not doing those anymore. This is what you're delivering.
So that's not really. That definitely isn't necessarily culture shock, but it's like, well, you just got rug pulled. Yeah. Because you're like, hey, I've got all these. It's kind of it was expectations, really. It wasn't that. Yeah. It wasn't about the size of the organisation necessarily, but it's the relative change, right? Between at the moment I'm owning my own destiny to, this is quite claustrophobic. Yeah. And then you made the shift to do your own business. Did you prepare for that? Like, did you have a strategy to get ready to launch and go? No. In hindsight, hindsight is 20/20 vision. Like I mentioned, I started from a standing position. I really didn't know how I was going to go about it. I'm a single parent. I co-parent. Edward, in case you're listening, yes, I acknowledge. But my weeks are really, really busy, especially when I'm parenting. Yeah. And so I didn't have a lot of time for it. I took a month off. I went and travelled with my son and then with my partner, and I took some time off. And then I came back and I was just like, how am I going to do this? And so a lot of thinking walks, how do I get started? I know I need to build a website. I know I need to build out my product. I can't start, it's also chicken and egg. You can't start marketing unless you've got a product to sell. But you don't, but I think one of the big lessons I learned was don't wait until everything is perfect. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. And so I got to a point where I was confident that things were developed enough that if somebody rang me tomorrow and said, I want you to deliver your building high performance team training next week, that I could go, right, okay, I know what I need to do to finish that off and get that ready. So, I've got a lot of things that are mostly done, but they're being advertised. And so And that's another time management thing as well, is then you spend the time on it when there is demand. So you get yourself to a point where you can market it, and then once that somebody's interested in that, then you can finish it off. Otherwise, you just spend all your time preparing, and actually procrastinating. Because it is scary putting yourself out there. Cold calling is horrible. In fact, it's almost impossible to do anyway, because you can't get hold of anybody and nobody will talk to you. Just this combination, and it was really unstructured. It was really messy.
but I've sort of come through the other side of it now and pulled all these messy pieces together. I'm still, there's still things to do like LinkedIn and things like that, but it's now I'm getting out of that tangle into something that's a little bit neater.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's almost like in my head I've got this big spaghetti thing that's going into a machine and then it's coming out in neat ribbons.
Yeah.
That's sort of the visual.
Well, that's
in my
like the
head
first
now.
2 years of business. Once you've cracked the offer, and I think there's like, there's a lot of data around 2 years on business operations and getting started, etc. Staying alive. You make it past 2 years, your chance of success dramatically increases. But it's probably not 2 years from when you start if you don't have a clear offer, a clear service, and a clear product. Like, which is something that startups do all the time, right? It's like you're constantly building software that you don't really know until people start using it, whether they want it. And in the context of software, so much of code, basically work, never gets utilized or used or even sees the light of day. So it can be a bit like that, but like you say, once you have a few like sequences that you can just repeat, that's when like you press start on the time, and you just have to get through that 2 years. So that in essence, really as well, it's like filling your funnel up so that it's full enough that it does flow through. Which takes time.
And everything that you're doing for the first time as well. And so last night I was preparing a proposal for a tech company to bring my building performing teams training in-house. Luckily, I'd already done that once before, so I was able to reuse that. But for somebody else, I was building out a time management coaching program. So I had to do that from like, how am I going to do this? And so I had to do that from scratch. But now I've got something that I can reuse. So everything it's like running through concrete, it's running through wet cement, that's up to your knees. But then after a while, you start coming out of that and you can run faster. So everything takes a lot of time. And websites like a house renovation, it's never finished.
Well, I think also it's like, sometimes with the tech side, right, it's like how long do you want to bang your head against the wall, and what parts of the tech stack or the process are you really struggling with, and can you identify a nice succinct fix? Like we've done some awesome stuff this year in the agent space internally in our business and for a few other companies externally, like kind of saving kind of 20 to 30% for teams doing reports, basically, certain reports. And then we've got some cool stuff internally that we've done that's helping us through the identification and then proposal phases. So it's just like, what's a low-hanging piece of fruit that you can, like you say, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it fits, and you can, what I say is very important, you deploy it into the business.
That's a good question, because I'm actually really low-tech, and the reason I'm low-tech is because what I do is all about human relationships. And and Josh, he asked me about how would you scale your business, and my answer was actually not with technology.
With distribution of your brand.
Like for example, I wouldn't turn all of my courses into e-learning, because all of my courses and my social intelligence training, all of that is about human relationships, and I just fundamentally disagree with learning about human relationships online.
For sure. So, but there's a difference between using technology to deliver your service, because actually that may not make sense. It's like, how do I make the operations of the business work for me so that I can deliver that human element better or greater? Right?
No, there's a lot of automation that I need to explore, I'm just not there yet.
It just takes time, and that's what I say about like small wins, right?
Administration and things like that. It's like, do I, in my head, I'm already building a position description for an assistant. But on the other hand, yeah, what of that could I automate? So sometimes my Friday, which is marketing day, is sometimes tech day.
Yeah.
And I just explore technologies, because you see all these AI tools and all these things, and they're always pitched as being really super easy to use with these flashy, quick videos. Oh, that looks really easy. And then you sit down with the free trial, and it's difficult. It's a nightmare.
I think it's totally true. I mean, look, the awesome thing is that we have this opportunity to use technology to delegate, yes, admin and stuff that isn't necessarily high leverage to, rather than calling it AI, I call it just compute. It's just like a computer is running that thing. It's not necessarily AI, and actually often it would be more cost effective to not use AI and just use like, you don't need to necessarily use an LLM, but because of how you engage with LLMs in a very human way, people's imaginations have broadened around what they can achieve. Yeah, it's like, okay, small win, I'm delegating that off, and then, but it's about, in that regard, it's similar to how you would kind of build out a leadership team, right? Like, you don't need to go too fast, and you just want to think about the design of it, because the worst thing is like, great example is, I'm going to put a transcripting automation into my meeting, so when I talk to people I get the transcript. And if it's not well integrated, not well utilized, it just becomes an email that you never open. Right? So it's thinking about, how do I go end to end to deliver value in a way where I'm not going to get diminishing returns. And that's when your kind of business operation side becomes a bit of a scram, like a bit of a tide, like a ball of knots.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's being incremental about it, but like you say, taking the time to think about, okay, well, how do I want this process? On a Friday when you think about your marketing, how do I want this process, and how of my content strategy and how I'm delivering content, where could I put something in here to save me an incremental, X amount of time? So, you've started this business, you've kind of, like we said, you've got the kind of content coming along, you're now starting to get a bit of a thought leadership kind of positioning, and you're really focused on just delivering high quality so the referrals come through. But what does success look like for you in 5 years? And like, what's actually, like, what's the point?
That's a really good question, and to be honest, I don't know. I think success, well, for a start, is still being in business myself in 5 years' time. It might be that I have a team of HR advisors. It could be that I've got other people delivering my courses for me, and I'm spending my time on building the business. But that said, I love what I do, and maybe I don't want to be big. Maybe I just want to stay as me and maybe one or two other people, maybe me, another HR advisor, an administrator, and a training, somebody who delivers training. Because, talking about the scale, because a lot of my training, obviously people can bring it in-house and things, but it's all online live classrooms. So the prep time for that is the same, and the work is the same, whether you've got 5 or 50 people on that course. So, that's, to your thing about scaling, that is where you scale, and you still only need one facilitator. Or maybe one facilitator plus, somebody
like an admin,
co-driving, switching between apps and things like that for you. So, maybe that's all I want, and maybe it's I'm sitting in Paris, working at night, doing my job and enjoying Paris by day. Maybe it's sitting in, different cities in Asia for a month here and a month there. But I'm a bit tied to New Zealand until my son finishes college. So he's literally only just about to start. So, So
well,
I think,
cool,
I feel like I've got 5 years to figure it out.
Right.
As long as I can still pay.
It's kind of like, and it seems like you're doing that. And like you say, you've also, one of our principles in our company is to live to trade another day. yeah, we kind of think about that and talk about that a lot. Talk about that with clients a lot, of course, as well. And one thing I think is great is always what we call in startup land is like default alive. And as long as you're default alive, like you kind of get to continue to make those 3 steps in that day that seemed like nothing on the day, but actually keep compounding.
Yes. Yeah. I used to have this mantra for myself: move forward every day. It doesn't matter if it's 1 step or 3 steps, but it can't be backwards.
So it's almost like over the next 5 years, you would like to discover a rhythm that works for you, and is actually achieving what you want to out of your kind of time.
Yeah, because I'm not in it to make bucket loads of money.
Yeah.
I'm not in it for empire building.
Yeah.
I don't think. Who knows?
I mean, it changes.
Maybe
I
I would love running a whole big agency of my own. I don't know. But right now, I need to really focus on the here and now.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and
and pay my rent.
Well, yeah, but it's nice to have realistic expectations, because like high expectations are often the biggest kind of contributor to like unhappiness. So giving yourself 5 years to be like, look, I'm going to like get on my feet in 5 years is quite strong. Because it's like, you could be sat here and say, oh, well, I'm going to have a team of 8. What does that even mean? In the next 5 years, and I'm not going to be working in the business. And that's a great goal too, because I think like we're all running our own race. And I like it's quite refreshing to have you go, well, actually, my next 5 years looks like I'm going to find out what I really want from the following 5 years and beyond, which is quite cool. And if you can actually remain that patient, it's going to be a great asset, I think. But and also keep buying food.
Buying food, and and I'm a mum. I've only got 1 child, but and I'm really lucky how awesome he is. But that's such a big priority for me as well. And so it's having that balance. And I love the fact that I can, we've got a half-day orientation day at school. He starts on Tuesday, and I can just go to that. I can go to everything. I can be there for all of these things, and and not suffer any guilt as well.
Sure.
I think, maybe I want to live a guilt-free life. Maybe that's it.
That's a great. That's great. I mean, that's a great way to. That's not a bad place to be, right? So I guess, I mean, we talked about it a bit, but I often kind of talk about it after the feed. Like, what do you think stops you from, so let's say the ideal situation, right, is that you know what the following 5 years is going to look like in 5 years. What do you think your biggest challenge in achieving that is over the next 5 years? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there any one specific thing you're like, that's so niggly, and that, or any part of, I want to know what the next 5 years,
Probably my own self-doubt. I think I've gotten over things like imposter syndrome, but the problem. My challenge is that I'm really risk averse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so taking a leap is a big deal. Like, I saved up so much money, well, not a crazy amount of money, but I needed to know that I was secure for at least a year. And luckily, I've been secure for longer than that. Well, I will be. But probably my own self-doubt. I'm starting to get better at putting myself out there, but I think that has probably held me back a lot. I should have been cold calling months ago, but I've procrastinated on that.
Right.
But like I said, it's actually really, really hard, because it's really difficult to get through to the right person. It's difficult to get phone numbers. Nobody returns your message. Right? Sorry?
It's hard to get the momentum sometimes.
Yeah. And it's so easy to just go, today I'm going to work on the content of that training course, or that sort of thing. But then also you get really tied up with your client work, because all of your client work tends to be pretty urgent. Because like I mentioned before, when they call you, it's because they've got a problem and they need it dealt with now. And so that is always going to take priority. And what could also happen is my Friday marketing day, where I do build out a call list and things like that, that could get taken up by a client. So that service in your clients is always going to come first, and to the detriment. And then, of course, you're going, well, I've got so much client work, I don't need to do any marketing anyway. But the other thing is, you don't know. Like this week you might bill 30 hours. Next week you might bill 5. So there's that as well. So you've always got to make hay while the sun shines.
Well, future forecasting and just cash flow expectations. It's impossible to do. It's impossible
to forecast, and I'll have somebody call me. I might spend an hour on the phone with them. They'll get a bit of free advice from me. I'll send them some terms of business. They'll send them back, and then I'll never hear from them again. That will happen as well. And so obviously I need to get better at following these things up, but that happens as well. And you've just, have you wasted that hour? Maybe not. Maybe they'll refer you, maybe they won't. You've got no control over any of that.
Well, it seems like you've put yourself in like the best position to succeed, right? You gave yourself probably 3 to 4 times more time than most people give themselves. You have diversified your income stream so that you know that you have some guaranteed income, and you are working on a one-to-many approach to the content. And then there seems to be perhaps some barriers where maybe you can offload some of it to automations to help you with some of the one-to-one follow-ups and management that perhaps kind of is where you kind of procrastinate, right? Because it's sometimes harder. It's not something you naturally really feel like doing. But I bet once you get the momentum, you probably love it.
Yeah. Look, it's always like a bit of a win. I've tried different tactics for contacting people, and I had a day where I crafted what I thought was a really good email, because you're always testing things as well, and sent it out to about 20 people, and I got one response. And this person said, "You've caught me right at the right time." And so I'm still trying to obviously convert that person to a client. But it's like, oh my God, somebody read my email, somebody, and so you've just got to keep going. So probably this, I was thinking about it probably this Friday. It's like, right, I need to send out another batch of emails. Nobody's going to pick up the phone. So, let's try, have another go. And, it's just getting the right person at the right time. So it's partly luck, really.
Well, and being in the game.
If you're not doing it, for all I know, 5 people have just saved that email somewhere.
And you might need 15 touch points.
So, and it's slowly, very, very slowly building out my email marketing, my newsletter list. I think my first email probably went out to about 3 people. So it's now going out to, because I've got another company doing business loan broking, I've got another set of people. So so now my email's going out to about 50. So, but they don't see that it's only going, I've now sort of given the game away, but those first 3 people, they don't know that they're the only 3 people on that email.
That's right. No, I think like being candid and just being real is really what wins people on TikTok, and will win people. Humans aren't different just because they're on LinkedIn, right?
Exactly.
As well, we're actually always just communicating with people. People are pretty much the same.
I did, so every now and then I'll sort of do a big connect with people on LinkedIn, and then I'll say, hey, look, hope you don't mind, would you follow my page? And to HR managers, because they're one of my buyers. And the woman came back to me, she said, I already follow you on TikTok. So I was like, that's really cool,
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the pod. It's been fun. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I think we've kind of discussed what it's really like to kind of start your own thing and make momentum. And I think that not a lot of people are thinking about social platforms where they're thinking about real corporate services and knowledge, but what you're kind of talking to and what you're getting into the market is like digestible information that's really important, and people don't know the details, and that's going to obviously continue to be a great source of like building your reputation, but also lead gen. So that's awesome, and I look forward to hearing about your future success.
Thanks.
Cheers.